Okay, so first thing you teach them, feet together always, feet together always, and they should have their shoulders back, and then their chin always up, always looking up above the trees somewhere, okay, never down, okay, and confirm the fact that the ground will not be moving. So, well, we'll do something with our arms, but almost clenching their butt, but not their knees. Clench the butt, not their knees. Shoulders back, chin up. And then have them do this the whole time. And that goes for everybody, okay? Like that, okay? Then you're going to talk about north, south, east, and west, forward, backwards, left, or right. Those are the 4 moves that we'll be doing, okay? And we're going to learn the first step of each move, and they're all the same. And you, in order to put your foot down, you gotta have to lift up before 1. Now, then you talk about the fact that we do a roll step, and you literally show how they place their ankle on the ground, almost like the tip of their, their heel, not their ankle, the bottom of the heel, and then of course you roll it all the way to where their heel is up and their toes are down. So toes really high, and then when you roll, their heel is really high. Okay. Then you talk about the counting method, which is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and downbeat is always a number followed by an up, which is the and. So it's always 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you literally show them that. So it's like heel, 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 generally speaking, for the forward, right, and left. But that's pretty much what they need to rely on. Every number is their heel, or when their foot hits the ground. So what we'll do is you tell them that they lift up on the and of 4. So it'll be like this: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And you can show them with their hands first: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And then you show them with your feet: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 1 and 1. Okay? 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And so you show it to them, and then you have them do it. Okay? Until everybody understands. Okay? If you have to repeat, remember that you pick it up on the end of 4 to make sure that your heel hits 1. You have to do it. Okay? Remember, we're starting from ground zero. A lot of them just don't have their brains working, and of course it's 8:20ish in the morning. Okay, 8:30 in the morning. Okay, so you do that several times: 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, and don't introduce the forward, march, lift, and 1. Not yet. Okay, let's get the numbers down all the way around, and then you're going to add the verbal, and that's something I didn't tell Embrick and Futch on the day we lined the practice field. So just couldn't remember. Alright, so you do that for the forward, okay? And then you explain the back. So you go ahead and explain the back so they'll know that the backward march is so different. And of course, on the end of 4, you literally go up. Okay, so remember, when you're doing a backwards march, you have to lift up and then go. So the end of 4, you literally, both feet, you go up on the balls of your feet. So then you explain to them that the backwards marching, of course, is rolling from your toes to the ball of your foot on each step. Okay, and the rest is just balance, which takes a while. And you can tell them, it's probably one of the harder moves, because you got the stepwise issue, and of course staying balanced, which of course has to do with their upper body posture. So you practice on the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, and on that first step, they'll kind of stumble, but they got to learn to lock those legs in so they'll know to balance themselves. So you do that several times. What you're looking for, not really is the balance, but what you're looking for is the and one. This whole exercise is to make sure they understand that their left foot has to come up on the and of 4 each time. It is crucial, because that's why so many people are out of step forever. You know, we had like what, 6, 7, or 8 people that were out of step forever because they didn't understand the concept. So that's why I was trying to break it down this way, so they'll know that that left foot has to be picked up. All right. So you do that several times. And 1. So you go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay. So you do that backwards, and then you introduce the right slide. And I would like to do the right slide because it's the most difficult, because they have to cross over. Now you can play games with them. You say try to go behind. It just doesn't work that way. That way they know that they have to cross over their right foot and then put that heel down as if they're going forward. So you basically say it's the same kind of step going forward, but that foot goes to the right. Now there's a lot of angle issues. Fudge was explaining that when you step, you know, will your feet twist? No, your feet won't twist, because that's a directional thing for traditional marching. So it'll be kind of an angle the first step, and then you really won't get your feet straight to the right until that right foot starts. Okay, so that left foot will be almost at a diagonal, just about, and then when you move forward as you roll, then that right foot will get in place. Okay. Of course, that will be discussed the next segment, when you finally move. Explain to them about the directional, about where their shoulders are. So as they, you know, have them turn to the right where their body's going, but their upper body has to be towards the playing area. So basically the shoulders will be square to the front, if you will, to where they're performing. And try to keep from saying pull the left shoulder back. I want to keep it consistent with, as you're going to the right, keep your right shoulder forward. Okay, and then when they go to the left, they say left shoulder forward. Make sense? So you keep it consistent with the direction that they're going, right shoulder. Alright, so explain all that, and then you do the first move. So it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay, and then you just check and make sure that those toes are high, because some of them will just place it down, right? You'll see all different forms, but continue to tell them heel in the ground, toes way up in the sky. So you do that a few times. Then you explain the directional first step to the left. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. Okay? Pretty much the same thing, but I think with this direction, that left foot can be facing to that direction, because you don't have to do all that maneuvering. Okay, so you do that until everybody keeps their toes really high on that first move. Okay, then you review forwards, backwards, right and left on the first step. Make sure they're pretty cool, about 85–90%. Okay, you won't have everybody doing it perfectly, okay, because everybody's brain functions differently, and God knows how they're going to be functioning after 18 weeks. So after you do all that, you take a break. By the way, after the exercise thing, I think I said it, but just to be sure, after the stretching and all that stuff, take a break, and I think I did tell you. And then after all this, take another break. Okay? Alright, after that, then you're going to explain that you're going to do mark time, and then we're going to go forward 8 steps. Alright, then you talk about, before we get to the mark time, as you move forward, you talk about this different step sizes. Now, you know, a lot of people do small, big, all that stuff. When we're doing basic block exercises, everybody has to do an 8 to 5 step. And so you explain to them, you know, it takes 8 steps to get to that 5. And you know, at first you probably won't hit the line, but you just have to adjust your step size. And then you could go into the speech about when we learn the show. You know, not only will we go forward, backwards, right or left, we'll kind of have diagonal moves, and then sometimes the traditional move is 16 steps, and then sometimes you won't go from this spot to this spot in 16, and so your step size is smaller. So during the show, you have to adjust according to the geometric shape that you're making, and that's what we work on all year long. So you go into what we do at band camp is learn where your spots are going to be, and of course it's important to use your neighbors, because sometimes you can't remember all the 44 moves, but a lot of the time you just guide on your neighbors, and eventually, as we repeat and repeat, the rest is just muscle memory. It'll all work eventually. It'll work out eventually. So you can go through all that, explain to them about this whole speech was about step size, but in basic block, we all do an 8 to 5 step. So what you do is, then you go back to the mark time. All right, so the mark time, the reason for the mark time is sort of to get the pulse, whatever rhythm that we're using, whatever beat that we're using, and then you step off. It's easier, you can tell them this, it's easier than and one, because not everybody's going to be moving. So with the mark time, it'll help us 4, 5, 6, 7, lift and 1. And everybody will be consistent, they know what the beat is, and they'll lift off and land on at the same time. At least on paper that works, okay? So you explain to them the importance of mark time. And so in this case, you have 8, and then you lift on 8 and 1. So the and is always in the same place. So you want to, you don't have to at first, only if they're having trouble as you do the mark time and forward march. If they don't understand 8 and 1, you go back, okay, let's go back and do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8 and 1. And you go back and let them know that that's what's going to happen. All right. Then you take the numbers away, and now you're going to give verbal commands. And then you just tell them that your verbal commands are going to land on the numbers. They'll match up with the numbers, and then we still say lift and 1. So basically, you got 4 beats to fill the prep, and then on 5, 6, 7, 8, you'll hear the command. Basically 1, 2, 3, 4, forward, march, lift and 1. Okay, and that's kind of what you'll do to explain it. Now, if you want to be really precise about it, you do the mark time, and then you do the command, so they'll know where they're going to step off. And that's probably what I'll do. Just sitting here talking about it, we'll probably do that to make sure that as we add the verbal command 5, 6, 7, 8 and 1, or forward, march, lift and 1, they got to be able to feel that and know that. So once they hit that, then you go ahead and do the mark time 8, forward march 8, and do that a few times. And if it takes longer, then you anticipate, because you'll see all sorts of things. They'll either get out of step, and so if they get out of step, you'll have to tell them, make sure that each downbeat, every snap, the numbers, 1, that's your heel. That's your heel. And of course, you'll see that they'll start doing flat feet. Remember to remind them to roll their feet. If you want to spend some time on that, it'll help you as you go on to the other moves. So if you want to really drill that into them right off the bat, that's fine. But you make sure that the heel touches the ground, toes are up in the air, roll them, and then of course, they probably will try to make it to the line, but your concern is not to hit the line perfectly after 8. But your job is to make them understand their body. Make sure that they don't do this. Remind them that their upper body has to be stiff. As they go forward. So you'll see all sorts of posture issues. Okay. Don't go after all those problems at once. They can't absorb that. One problem at a time. So as they do it, remind them of one thing after you do the exercise. Okay, make sure you roll your feet. Okay, even though you want to say roll the feet, upper body, blah, blah, blah. Just name one thing as you start and stop. Okay, eventually you run out of room, turn them around, and then head back the other way. Okay, common sense kind of thing. Okay, so you do mark, time, mark, lift and 1, 2, 3, 4, forward, march, lift and then go to the 8. And remind them that the commands are anticipating the end of the move. So basically, at 5, the command will be presented, and then you stop. And then of course you have to explain what the beginning is. The beginning is mark time, mark lift and one. There's that that I haven't really gone over, but make sure you kind of remind them of that. Okay, so they got to make sure that they lift and one. You talk about the mark time, how big their heels go up. Okay, remember that the balls of their feet stay, and they just pull their heels up. Okay, you talk about all that. So you do the lift and one, and of course, when they come to a halt, crucial, they need to stay still. They need to freeze at the end of that. So right there is a mouthful, and so you can probably spend 15 minutes on mark time 8 for March 8, 15-20 minutes, which is probably what's going to happen if you get all the details. All right. So as you're watching this video, make sure you make notes of all that I just said, because I am rambling, but these are the things that you gotta have to remember. And even if you don't remember, you attack the problem as it happens. Okay. So remember to talk about the command of mark time, mark lift and one. Make sure they know that just like we explained on the north, south, east, west, front, back, right, left, that left foot is still consistent with coming up on and one. Okay, so you get that down, and if you want to, you can talk about the commands. Get that first step: mark time, mark lift and 1, 2, 3, 4, forward, march, lift and one. You can have them do that. Make sure they understand that, and then of course you talk about the move. So once you start rolling your feet, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, you talk about band, halt, and one, and you literally show them the 5, 6, 7, 8, so they know how to stop. Because you know some people always have that, they add that extra step, and we never really talked about that because we see that in the field where they keep moving. We saw that a lot last year where they were supposed to stop, but they're still adding that extra step. So make sure that they know they start on their left foot and they end on their left foot, and their left foot kind of brings it in to a close. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. So they stop on 1. Okay, and so you do all that, and once they get that, that's the basic foundation for every other move. So you can spend a lot of time on that and then take another break. You know, before each break, remember to talk to them about what's next. So okay, y'all, okay, we're about to take a 10-minute break, and next time we're going to talk about, we're going to go through backwards marching. Okay, so after that break, you're here backwards marching. You tell them the same thing. Mark time, marks the same way. Remember to lift up both feet on the balls of their feet, and then tell them this, you know, it's a hard move. Make sure they have a confident first step. You go through all the commands. The commands are the same as far as when they lie on the beats, 5, 6, 7, 8, except for backwards marches. Backwards, march, lift, and one. And again, you go through the mark time, lift, and one before that, and then you go through the whole thing. And remember, show them 5 when they're doing the backwards marching, 5, 6, 7, 8, and freeze. 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. Sorry. 5, 6, 7. Yeah, well, sorry. Left, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. And they come back down on that 1. Okay, sorry about that. All right, and so you can do that probably a good amount of time, but I would say once they do the backwards marching, then add what you just learned earlier. Okay, let's do forward marching and then backwards marching. And then, after you do those separately, forwards and backwards, then do the transition of forward and then back. So what I'm saying is, as they go, you're going to go march time 8, forward march 8, and then backwards march 8. This is the time where you talk about transition. You can spend some time on that, how their body leans forward as they go back. Make sure that they stick that right foot, and as they hit 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1, that 8 is when they hit the ball of their feet. So as they roll on 8 with their heel toe, they go immediately pop up in the air to the balls of their feet and head back. Now, we all know that's a tough transition because they have to stick that foot in sometimes to pull back. So work on that. So in this segment, you work on the backwards marching, then you do the review of forward marching, then do a quick review of the backwards marching, and then you're going to talk about the transition of mark time 8, forward march 8, backwards march 8. So in that segment, you do it, and then you take another break, okay? And then of course tell them when you come back, we're going to talk about the right slide. Now, assuming that the right slide is going to take a whole segment, you do that same thing, okay? But if they get the right slide down pretty good, you can go on to the left slide, okay? So, because they'll get the same idea, you know, once they understand that the commands match the numbers 5, 6, 7, 8. When you do the commands, do it right. I hope they'll get the idea on the right slide. Okay, and of course you review on the right side that lift and 1 at an angle, and then eventually the right foot. And if you want to talk about the mark time, and you could almost do lift and 1, and then probably add the second foot so they know how that right foot should be. That right foot is where it finally goes in the direction that they're going. It goes straight, basically. Remind them of their upper body. That'll be a problem. And so you do the whole segment like you did with forward marching and backwards marching. The mark time, lift in 1, 2 for that right foot, and then you do mark time 8, right side 8, and stop. Okay, and on the slides, you don't have that 8 to 5 lines that they're relying on, and so they have to rely on the people in front of them. So make sure that they're in line with the people, and start getting them to keep their chin up and be looking at the people in front of them so they know to stay in line. And that's the way they'll know that their stepwise is 8 to 5. Okay, so you know, if you have trouble with that first 2 steps, and of course you have a lot of trouble with the shoulders, and it extends the time a little bit, then you know, right side will be your next segment. So there's the end of that. So if all you can get done is that right slide a few times, fine, it's okay. But if you can move on to the left slide in that 15-minute to 20-minute time frame, great. Otherwise, have them take a break, and we'll put the left slide in, do the same thing with the left slide. And of course, remember the left slide, pretty much the left foot goes in the direction. It's not at an angle like the right slide because you're crossing over. So you do the left slide, make sure the left shoulders front, keep their body posture, upper body stiff, do all that. So once they get the left slide done, then review the right, review the left, and then do right slide and then the left. Now, as you know, that right to left and left to right, they had that 1, 2, and turn, right? 1, 2, and turn. So they're going from left to right, 1, 2, and turn. They're going from right to left, 1, 2, and turn. So so those first 2 steps probably will be like a backwards march. So they'll be on their feet, you know, the balls of their feet, and then do that. So you may have to, and you will, go over that transition from right to left. But you have to do, when you do the right and left, make sure you do left to right as well. So that'll take up that segment. Okay, so you with me? Alright, so we got all that. So you can tell that the specifics of each move has to be taught. Make sure you tell them what they look for. After you teach them, you know, remind them that that's a lot to absorb. Could be overwhelming, but guess what? It's basic block. And remember, we're just going forward, backwards, right, and left. There's a lot to remember on transitions and the commands, but once you get this down, you got it. So guess what we're doing at each time we come out for rehearsal? Yes, basic block. And so just tell them, you know, if you don't get it yet, we'll be doing this thousands of times, and you'll get the hang of it. Alright, so just kind of encourage them and all that. Alright, so once you do all that, you do another break, and then you come back. And if you feel like 5 minutes is enough for a break, fine. Just depends on how hot it is at the time. you just need to give them a break to get some water in them, and then remind them, you know, even though you're probably not thirsty, get some water or Gatorade in them at each time. But don't gulp it, because that's where their stomach gets all in a bind. Alright, once you come back, then you're going to review forward marching, backwards marching, right slide, and left slide, just to remind them, okay? And just, you know, you could be funny and say, you know, it's just 4 moves. Why are you having trouble? It's a joke, but they have to understand that we want them to do well, and we're teaching them the right way. That's why it's so specific. All right, once you review all 4, then you're going to start teaching the basic block moves that we'll do forever. So what you do is mark time 8, forward march, right slide, backwards march, and left slide. Okay, so you let them do it, and you'll see all sorts of things. Some people may forget and go left instead of right. Just a mess. They go backwards. They'll forget everything, and that's fine, and it will happen because it's the way it is. By this time, it's gotten really hot, and they'll feel like they're very tired. Just keep pushing them, okay? So what you'll do is you'll break it down. Go forward, you know, mark time 8, forward march 8, and 1. To start working on the 3 transitions. Okay, so forward to right, and then right to back, and then back to left. Okay, and so you spend some time on that. That'll obviously take up a big segment, and then if it's a big old mess, and you're halfway through all that, then take a break and then come back and continue. It just depends on how fast they're learning. They may blow us away and they'll be great. You never know. Each year is so different. But we all know this year with 18 weeks off, expect anything. Expect a disaster. So, in all this, be patient. Be patient. Just take a deep breath, give them a break, regroup, and come up with ideas. Okay? And everything I'm telling you is great. And if you come up with some other ideas, fine. But these are just the basic ideas that I'll probably do, and I'll probably come up with that idea when I'm working with the winds. You just don't know. Alright, so once they do all that and they understand and they got the basic block down pretty much, and of course it still won't be pretty no matter what you think. Just tell them, each day it'll get better, each day it'll get better. So just encourage them. After that next break, then you bring all the equipment. Color guard brings their flags, majorettes bring their batons, dance team, pom-poms, I guess, drums, battery with their things on, carriers on, the whole drums, and of course all the winds with their instruments. Okay, when they get back, you show them, make sure that they know what attention is, and all that. Show them the right posture there, and then start doing the moves. Without playing. You just kind of, with the horns up, you can do band horns up, make sure you add that command, band horns down, and just kind of tell them that the command is still on the 4-number system. 1, 2, 3, 4, snap on 1. And make sure they snap. It's very important. It's militaristic. This whole thing is militaristic, so everything has to be snappy. And the upper body, of course, has to be still. And then you go through all the moves with the posture, okay? And of course, then you'll see, the drooping of the horns, so make sure, everybody contains the proper posture, okay? And just kind of knock everything out as you do the moves. So, the first day is kind of long, 8 to 12. And this probably will take the whole morning, okay? If for some reason it doesn't, and you have about 30 to 45 minutes, you'll have your notebooks. Percussion already has them, so down at Group A field, you're set. Group B will hand out all the wind instrument notebooks, and then even if you have 20 minutes, a segment, you show them how to read the drill chart, how to look at the field versus the drill chart, have the drill chart according to where the field is, turn it, and just kind of basically give them the ABCs of how to really read a drill chart and to find their spot, the 4-step markers, all that. So you help them find their set 0 spot, and then help them understand how to go to the next page, and then explain to them the directions on the page, and then how to maneuver. So if you can get to them getting their set 0 spots and how to get to set 1, great. And that should be what you do in the first segment. After that, you just review with a basic block, of course do the stretching and then the basic block every time we go outside, and then we'll start the drill charts. Okay? Make notes, read it, watch it again, and just make sure you think you understand, but there's the smallest detail. Even as I'm explaining it, there's some things that I remember that, wow, I forgot. So a lot of it is just reminding yourself, because we've done this, even I've done it forever and ever and ever. There's always something new I want to add each year to make it better. So just remember, if you are precise at the beginning, it'll be so much easier later.